Hello, everyone. We are thrilled to be here with Dr. Jane Nelsen. She is the author of the Positive Discipline series and the co-founder of a worldwide movement through the Positive Discipline Association that has certified thousands of positive discipline facilitators and educators in over 80 countries. Well, the original Positive Discipline book was written in 1981, and it was a product of Jane's deep gratitude for the changes she was able to make as a parent of 7 children after learning the work of Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs in her college class in child development and family relations.
Since that time, Jane has authored and co-authored many books, tool cards, and training manuals. Couples, business leaders, parents, and teachers have experienced stronger relationships as a result of training in positive discipline. And I'd just like to add Lucy and I to that list. And really, the tools have been transformational. So welcome, Jane. We're so happy to have you with us here today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So your journey and expertise are so inspiring, and we're excited to dive deeper. So let's start with our first question. So Lucy mentioned in the introduction that you have 7 children. And I've heard you say in previous interviews that you already had 3 children before discovering the works of Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs. And I'm really interested how your parenting experience changed after incorporating positive discipline into your approach.
Well, I've written many books that answer that question, but I will just say that it's interesting that I was what I call an obnoxious learner. And what I mean by that, I was yes, but, and what if, and I'm just surprised that my professor could even stand it to put up with me. But the thing is, because I was like most people was, there's only 2 possibilities, punishments or rewards, you'd say there. And for one thing, I did not like being the punitive parenting. I didn't feel good about myself. And when I used permissiveness, I didn't like my kids because they became demanding. And so when I took this class, and because somebody recommended, why don't you take a class in child development? And I was just so excited to hear that there are so many options in between, that you can be both kind and firm at the same time. And I'm going to just go on and on here for a minute because I think this is so important. One of the biggest problems I have today is when people say, well, I was punished and I turned out fine. And we can all
I come across the same thing. Yeah,
I think we can all say that. But to me, the difference is, how do I feel as a parent? And when I learned these skills, I just loved it, that if I made a mistake, well, of course, that's one of my favorite. You don't have to be perfect. But to know that we're going to, when people say, well, are you going to let them get away with that? No, there's other options. You don't have to punish and you don't have to pamper, but you can focus on solutions. What about that? What about getting the kids involved? They're so good at it. But one other thing I want to say is, one of the things I learned is that first I went into this thinking I could find ways to change my children. But like many of us, I learned, first I have to change myself. I have to learn the skills to teach my children skills. Because to me, that's what discipline is really about, is learning skills, social skills, academic, whatever we need, is that we just are always learning new skills. And so many parents, even, or teachers, who said I was ready to get out of teaching, but now I can enjoy teaching again. Because so many of us don't like punishment or rewards, but we don't know what else to do. So positive discipline is all about what else to do.
Yeah,
I love what you. Yeah, sorry, you want to say something?
No, you go, Lucy. This is
I
what happens.
love what you said, Jane, about like especially like teachers loving, refining their love of teaching again, because it can be so difficult. And I know from my experience, obviously, because I didn't learn about positive discipline until I was on my 12th year in education. So it took me a long time until I actually learned about positive discipline, and I can definitely say that it was such a game changer. And it's interesting that you say that, because I was working with this mom who's also a teacher, and she's been teaching for 25 years now, and we actually worked together in one of these schools back in Brazil. And that is something that she told me. She said, like, I can finally love teaching again, because she was also struggling. And it's so interesting that you say that, because although positive discipline is already present in so many countries, there's still so many people who haven't heard of positive discipline, and who still think that we either need to be authoritarian or we have to be permissive. There's nothing in between, right? So, like, for you to bring this concept of kind and firm, this is such a game changer. It really, really is, because it's obviously like changed my life. It's changed the lives of so many people around me. It's changed Amanda's life as well, right? Yeah. And obviously, like, you can't even tell anymore, right, Jane? Like, how many people's lives you have actually changed? It must be like an enormous amount.
Well, it was also a big surprise when it started becoming popular in other countries. And I do know this now, is that it's because on basic principles of treating people with dignity and respect, the basic philosophy of Adlerian psychology has so proven, and brain science, everything keeps proving. Well, even when I wrote the first positivist book, 1981, I had been teaching child development also at a community college. And it was so helpful to know that I can give up punishment. That doesn't mean I'm going to be permissive, and being kind doesn't mean you can't. Kind can always be firm, and firm can always be kind.
Absolutely.
I love that.
So you mentioned that this is obviously in 80 countries, and your books have been translated into many languages, which obviously speak to their global appeal. Have you encountered any cultural challenges when introducing positive discipline in other countries and cultures?
This is the thing that surprised me so much, is I wondered, well, why has it become, relatively speaking, accepted in so many different countries? And I think it's because of the way we teach, the experiential activities. And so, because as you may know, we start with the two lists. Everybody's saying, what are the challenges you have, and what is it you want for your children or your students? Those lists are the same in every country. They're just exactly the same. So what I just was able to see is that even though we have different cultures, when it comes to our children, we love our children and we want what's best for them. And when parents are punishing, I believe it's because they really believe that's what's the most helpful. And so many of them are just so relieved. And especially, I know you're all with Montessori. It fit with the Montessori philosophy so well. Yeah. And yet, my main goal was always to say, well, even when I read some of the Dreiker's books, I was impressed, but I wish that they had told me more about what to do instead of what not to do. And so that's when we came up with the tool cards. And I know you know all about those, that we have the tool cards for parents. And it's just so much fun to have people just think of a challenge, choose any tool card, and see if it wouldn't be the one, and show it to your kids. Say, it's an app, so you can shake, and you say, let's just shake and see which one comes up. Right?
I have the app.
That's it. Yes.
It's so much fun.
It is so inexpensive, but the kids can. This is one of the whole things about positive discipline, is the more you get kids involved, involve them in focusing on solutions, involve them in learning to contribute around the home. But this whole thing of, instead of what's the problem, what's the punishment, it's what's the problem, what's the solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love how you always encourage, teachers and parents, caregivers, and whoever wants to get involved with positive discipline, how you encourage them to empower others. So
Right.
it's never something that is going to be centralized. It's never something that is just going to be the parents involved or the educator involved, because we're always actually helping the other people around us to also develop these skills. So I would say, like, especially problem solving skills, cooperation skills. But it's so interesting because it's such a respectful approach, isn't it? Because we're always trying to involve these people in the problem solving situation, because we want them to also feel ownership of it, right? We
Absolutely.
want them
One of the things I didn't realize way back in 1981?
1981, the book.
Right, was how much the kids really do want to be involved. And the brain research that really showed that kids really want to be responsible, but they need the skills. But as Stryker said, and one of the basics is that a child needs encouragement like a plant needs water. Mm-hmm. So we're always looking for what is the discouragement. That's when we love the 4 mistaken goals, we can identify that. But then that it always, as Stryker said, a misbehaving child is a discouraged child, and so we find out. And a misbehaving parent or teacher is a discouraged parent and teacher. And so I do have to say that one of my favorite tools is that mistakes are opportunities to learn, and to really embrace that and really teach it to our kids, so that we say, instead of have a nice day, say, make a lot of mistakes and see what much you can learn from them.
I love that. And that's what fits so well into, the Montessori philosophy as well. It's this whole idea of, we learn by discovery, we learn by making mistakes. And I think, I'd be really interested to know how you initially teamed up with your co-author for the book, Positive Discipline in the Montessori Classroom. And what was your inspiration behind teaming up with a Montessorian?
Well, Montessori has always been my favorite audience from the very beginning. And I didn't know that much about Montessori, but except that when I would, we'll talk more about that book, but when I would go and work with teachers and parents, they were so receptive and eager, because it did give them the kind of tools that fit with their basic philosophy. And the thing about, but then when I met Lynn Lott, and especially it was because I started having some problems with one of my own teenagers. And she was at our Adlerian conference, was teaching a workshop on how to empower your teenager and yourself in the process. And so I said, okay, I've got to go take her class, even though I had already written Positive Discipline. This does not make us perfect ever. In fact, I'm going to take a little digression here. One of my funnest things is when my daughter Mary got mad at me about something, said, I'm going to tell Oprah, so anyway, I was making a lot of mistakes. And I thought, okay, she can help. And so I took her class and we just really hit it off. But the one thing that we always want to do is find out, is what we're teaching work with real parents out there? So we started teaching these classes. And then here's the biggest key, I think. Not the biggest. The biggest is the philosophy and the tools. But the fact that we can teach these basic tools to parents, that it's okay to make mistakes. So anyway, when I asked her then if she would write this book with me, but we had also taken a class from John Taylor about doing experiential activities. And I think that has been the huge key, because, and especially as you know, the parents helping parents problem solving steps, or the teachers helping teachers problem, where they deal with real challenges and really role play and learn the skills, then they can teach the skills to the children. And it's just all the brain research has validated everything that Adler tried and that we do, even including the positive timeouts, the punitive timeout.
Yeah.
But for the positive discipline, the Montessori Classroom, Chip started sending me examples of stories of how he had used it in his classroom, in his school. And I was just so impressed that they were just so well done. And his story was so well done that I said, why don't we write a book? And he said, okay, well, it only took 8 years.
I never knew that. Wow, gosh, that's
it went through, we were both going through a lot of things. But when we finally came together, and we were just really thrilled that it's been as popular as it has. But going back to the experiential activity, I think that is why it has become popular in other countries too, because they can put it into when they do the role play, it's their role play and what was going on for them and what they're thinking and feeling and deciding. And it's just been so gratifying how many people have just loved it and adopted it and want to teach it.
I'll tell you what, Jane, the most to me, like whenever you say experiential activities, and I know that Fernanda Lee, she's watching us right now, which is such an honor as well. Hi, Fer. And when I first learned about positive discipline, it was through Fernanda Lee, who you obviously know so well. And that was back in 2016. So it's been a few years, 9 years now. And I remember like that, the most powerful experiential activity that I did in that workshop was the one about the competent giant.
Oh.
And to me, that was it. That was, like I was sold after that. And it's so interesting because obviously, I was in the education industry for a while. So like doing these trainings and stuff, that was very common. But the one that, like the workshop that I did with positive discipline, that was completely different from anything else that I had ever seen. And it's true, like these experiential activities, they are so powerful because it's the chance that you have to actually be in that child's shoes.
So since you mentioned that activity, I think you should describe what it is and why you
So I would say that it's an activity that, well, obviously, like it's only adults who are in the room there's going to be one person playing the child, and the other adults in the room, they will play the adult. We were standing on chairs, so we would be even taller than we actually are, because obviously there would always be a height difference between the child and the adult. So as adults, each one of us would have a prompt, and we would say, if I'm not mistaken, like we would say kind of like negative things about that child. Maybe like, oh, you're so messy, you never get to school on time, like you always forget about your homework. So like very, like powerful statements for this child that really, like touch with their self-beliefs. And then the child, who's also obviously like an adult in that role play, they would just listen to all of these giants talking to them, and then they would share with us like what they were feeling, thinking, and deciding to do.
I'd like to tell you a very powerful addition to that story. There was one participant in one of our classes who was the child who would go around the circle and look up and say, I'm a child, I just want to belong, and would get a put down statement. Well, then why don't you mind, why don't you quit doing this? Why don't you try harder? All the negative kind of statements that kids could hear. And when we were processing, he started to cry. Oh, I have to back up a little bit because I don't think I've ever told this story on a podcast, but this one, let me just see if I can think about it for just a second. Interesting. This is what's going on with my memory these days. Sometimes even when I think about.
Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
But the guy who was role playing a child started to cry, and there were other people who were really upset by that and said, "No, that's too strong." And he said, "No, this was perfect for me because the reason I was crying is because I was treated that way as a child." But because I was treated that way, that's why I'm motivated now to go out and be an encourager and work in this field to make sure it doesn't happen. Oh, I know what I almost forgot. There was a woman in the beginning who, when we say, what is it you want for the workshop? And most people, whatever they list, was, okay, you're going to get that, you're going to get that, you're going to get that. And she said, to be happy. And I thought, But at the end, when we were doing the ball of yarn and everybody shares what they got out of the workshop, and she said, I learned I can be happy no matter what happened to me because of that activity and that.
Oh, how powerful.
And who signed, yeah, that happened to me, and now I want to help others so it doesn't happen to them. So it is a very powerful activity. I'm glad you mentioned that one. That's, and some people wanted us to give it up because it is pretty hard on the person who's role playing the child and hearing all those negative statements.
And I would say it's so powerful as well on the adult, because for them to hear, and thank you so much for refreshing my memory, Jane. Yes, you have to say, I'm a child and I just want to belong, right?
Yeah.
So for the adult to hear that from the child and still say those negative statements,
yeah.
That is something very powerful. Jane, just to let you know, there's so many people here saying hello to you. So we have Fernanda Lee saying hi. We have Yogi talking about the 2 cards that are so incredibly helpful. And then, Fernanda Lee, obviously, she's saying, Jane is so wise and encouraging. The Butsa Bagchi, I hope I'm saying the name right, said, I was so surprised in positive discipline parent educator programs when I realized that all countries have same challenges about kids. That's a good point. And Valeria is saying hello to Brazil. Hi, Valeria. Oi. And
we have a message from Chip. Hi, Chip. Hi, Jane, Amanda, and Lucy. Oh, that's so lovely.
Wow, that is just, oh my God, that is such a wonderful community. And yeah, so.
I was going to say actually, but maybe you've already covered it. If you had to choose one experiential activity, Jane, that you feel has the most impact or that you enjoy presenting, would it be the Competent Giant, or have you got another one that you feel quite strongly about?
Do you know the one that we usually do if we're doing a small demonstration is the asking versus telling?
Yes.
Because excuse me, my voice. It teaches so many things about what works and what doesn't work. And let me just give like 2 examples. If one parent would say to a child, go brush your teeth, and the other parent would say, what do you need to do so your teeth will feel squeaky clean? And just that, to have them do that as an experience right away, where they experience being the child who's hearing these comments and the one who's learning that they can say them, it is just so powerful that people say, oh, there is something besides telling and scolding, but trying forth instead of trying to stuff in. But I think it is because we did these experiential activities and we learned, like the Competent Giant from John Taylor. Lynn and I had both been to one of his workshops at an Adlerian conference, and we just thought it was so powerful that we created a whole lot more. She had interns that she was working with. They created some, we created some. Every time we do it, we work for teens. We have to adapt them, because that's the other thing I love is the parents who took our parenting classes said, oh, this would work with my managers. And the people who said, oh, this would work in my marriage. Oh, this would work in the workplace. So they are just these universal principles that just
absolutely
are like,
I think
it's all about human relationships.
For me, Jane, it's been I've used connect before correct. I have that in the front of my mind whenever I go in, and I have to have usually with another adult, if I have to have a difficult conversation, I always come back to that, and it just offers such a kind of unique energy to the conversation, and you get so much more out of the conversation as well. So yeah, it's been so helpful.
And what I also love is that how all the brain research has validated what we've been thinking, even about the positive timeout, and Adler and Dreiker saying children do better when they feel better. And this doesn't mean that you have to pamper, because we want children to feel better in the sense of contribution, that they can really help and make a contribution, which we know that they're wired from the very beginning to want to help. And but they need the skills and the framework. So
yeah, and that's what I love when bringing on.
Yeah. Sorry,
I was just going to say bringing on. Go, Lucy.
No, you go first, Amanda. You go first.
I was just going to say, and I just see so many parallels of Montessori the whole time. You talk about, children being wired for contribution, and Montessori kind of, help, if a child could speak at 1.5, saying, help me to do it for myself. They are, they want to feel capable, and all these tools allow, give parents the opportunity to actually allow children to feel that, which is so important.
Right. And, one of the things that Adler and Dreikirch used to do is they would do what they called the family in focus, or the teacher in focus, where they would interview them in front of a whole audience and give them suggestions. And Lynn was just so good about trying, if I can figure out what do they do? What do they say? And so when we came up with the Parents Helping Parents problem solving steps, which is based on that model, except that we add the role playing and we get everybody involved in thinking of solutions. But that really helps when they can. But let me just tell you one thing a lot of people don't realize is that when we do the Parents Helping Parents problem solving steps, which means somebody gives a real problem, we go through these steps, the 12 steps, and that includes role playing and brainstorming for solutions, and then they choose one that really works. And what we just found that this was so effective that to teach people how to do that based on these Adlerian principles has just been really effective.
I'll tell you what, Jane, I love all of these. Obviously, I don't know every single one of these activities, because I don't know if you people have seen these manuals, but they are huge. They're really big. They're so vast and they're so comprehensive, and I love it. And what I find so interesting, Jane, is when you were talking about contribution, and even one of your favorite activities, which is asking versus telling. I always have the feeling that adults who still don't know the science behind it, they can take these activities for granted. So they may think, oh, well, it's just so silly. I'm just turning, a command into a question. What difference is this going to make? Right? But I believe that information is power, and that what you're sharing with us and what you're sharing with the world about not just how to do these activities, but all the science behind it and how the brain responds when you are being asked something instead of being told to do something, then, and putting that together with an experiential activity where that adult who could have taken for granted, this simple tweak between asking and telling, actually between telling and then asking, once they felt it in their body, right? Because we feel it in our bodies, don't we?
Right.
So I would say, again, it's just so powerful. It just changes everything. And that's when people are actually sold. That's when people start seeing that positive discipline is the way forward, isn't it?
Yes. Especially since it's always okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Even when I was, sometimes people wonder the difference between my before, during, and after. Well, for one thing, with my oldest child, I was able to heal. There had been this thing where he even left home and started hitchhiking around the country. But because of the positive discipline, even with the phone, I was able to heal that relationship until one of my favorite memories is when he said, Mom, you're one of my best friends. He said, no, you're my best friend. So it's never too late. And even after you learn you're going to make mistakes, one of my favorite stories in the book is where Mary gets mad at me for I probably wasn't being as kind as I should have been. I was maybe a little too firm, and she says, I'm going to tell Oprah. So I love that this does not mean it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
But it is about having skills. And I think one of the most important ones is positive timeout, where we both learn from as parents and teachers and kids. Sometimes we need to just, which is, by the way, why I love family meetings and class meetings. These are my, anybody says, what is your favorite tool?
Yeah.
It's because during family meetings and class meetings, the kids learn skills and they solve problems. And they're just so good at focusing on solutions that are respectful, related, reasonable. So they're learning these things that will just serve them throughout their life.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned, Jane, about family meetings, because Yogi Patel, who you obviously know so well as well. Oh my, this rhymes so much. She'll come on our live stream on the 19th of February, and we are actually going to talk a lot about family and classroom meetings.
Good.
So so you can tell that this is so many people's favorite tool, isn't it? And one more thing, you were talking about positive timeouts, and we see how powerful it is. And I think that you believe so much in these positive timeouts that you even wrote a special book about it, right?
Right,
So
that's really fun.
tell us a little bit more about Jared's cool out space. Obviously, I've got the Portuguese version.
Yes.
But yeah, so would you like to share us a little bit about this book? Because I love it, and whenever we can, right, Amanda, we're always sharing a little bit about this book with our parents and families as well.
Well, and one of the whole points was to make a story that really is a fun children's story, but also teaches these skills that are so important. And then, even though it's a children's book, the notes at the end are teaching the parents and the teachers all about why this is sound scientifically.
Can we give a spoiler? Can I show them the last page?
Sure. Go ahead. Oh yeah, I love the ending where he gets his own space box, the father.
Well, we all need our own positive time out, don't we? I think that's as important as a parent.
Do you mind if we ask you, do you have a special place in your home where you do your own positive timeout? Do you even need a positive timeout?
I do meditation every morning looking out at the San Diego Bay.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. Wow.
That sounds wonderful.
That is a wonderful timeout indeed. So it's gorgeous to see how timeout is not a punitive way of just, like, think about what you did. It's actually the other way around, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, just for those who may not know, very briefly, the kids create a space that will help them feel better, and then they get to choose it. Would it help you? Not you go to timeout, but would it help you to go to your feel good place? Call it something else.
Yeah.
So that it is teaching self-discipline.
And again, I love the fact that they are part of the creation of this space as well. Like, it gives them that ownership, and they can name it, and Yeah.
I remember Chip, when he came on our live stream. Sorry, Amanda. It just reminded me, because like when Chip came on our live stream, Jane, he was telling us about this routine charts that he had made so beautifully for his children. And then it didn't really work because his children didn't actually participate in the creation of it. So I remember him saying how frustrated he felt, because it was such a gorgeous routine chart, and it had he had all the potential in the world, but because his children didn't actually take part in it, it just tanked.
Yeah, they like to be involved. They like to contribute.
They do. And he did say that once they did get involved and started creating their own routine charts, their cooperation went up by like 80%. So it just shows.
Now, Jane, I have a question for you that because we're talking about how positive discipline can be seen so many different ways. Do you think that you, as a parent, as a grandparent, and also as a grandparent, do you think that the way that you approach positive discipline changes according to your role in the family?
Yeah, it gets easier as a grandma.
Tell us more.
Right. Do you know, though, there are people who are even saying they want to write a book or workshop for parents, for grandparents, because we have found that these basic principles of Adler and Dreyfus of treating everyone with dignity and respect and finding out focusing on solutions, it just works in all relationships. And so that's really kind of fun. Even we have tool cards and a course for keeping the joy in relationships, because people say, oh, this really does work in my relationship and my work. And there's been people now who say we should do it for aging grandmas, for grandpas, for aging parents.
I think that would be amazing. Wow. That would be lovely. Well, we've got an audience question here, Jane. If you don't mind, I'm going to read it to you. So Bursa says that, well, they have two questions. First is, how many countries use positive discipline currently? Do you by any chance have any idea? Is there like an official number of how many countries use positive discipline?
Well, we have a self-study program to certify people to be a trainer, facilitator. And that program has sold in over 90 countries.
Wow.
And so that means that maybe one person in that country who's taken this, and maybe they're just using it for themselves, or maybe they're using it to teach. But in several countries, they have also formed organizations. Like there's a positive discipline organization in France and Spain and
in Brazil,
and a lot of Latin America and the Netherlands, and where else? There was a big one in China, and they're still hanging in there a little bit. But yeah, it just, so even the culture in Africa, we have some people who are sharing it in Africa. Morocco is a group. So, just the latest here, I just got this in the mail yesterday. It's positive discipline in German. So it's now been translated into German.
Oh, it's such a beautiful cover, by the way. I love
know.
it. Wow.
And the second part.
Yeah, do you want to read the second part? You've got access to it, yeah?
Yeah, the second one, she says, if you can give a suggestion or say something to parent educators, what would it be? I guess some sort of inspiration or
a bit of advice.
You know, with the parent educators, I hope that they will join the Positive Discipline Association and take advantage of some of the, like they have these what do you call them?
Mentoring
mentor
groups.
Groups, mentor groups where they practice doing some of the activities. And I know that they have something coming up really soon that people can sign up to learn how to market their classes.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. And so I think that it really helps to get that support. And I love it. I usually attend most of these mentor groups, and we have people from many different, Egypt is another place where they have a huge group.
And I think about what I love about the mentoring groups as well is you learn how to do a lot of the activities that would normally be done face to face online. And I think that's a huge help, because obviously a lot of us now are doing our activities on Zoom virtually.
Right. That's one of the things that happened during the pandemic, though, is that many of our trainers were so creative in learning how to do the experiential activities online. And that's one of the things that we require, is that I tend sometimes now things that are offered online and nobody turns on their camera. But in
that's really hard, isn't it?
Turn on your camera and you need to participate. So.
That's
so difficult not having the camera on, isn't it? Because God,
you're definitely trying to connect with people.
And, it's hard. It's like you're trying to connect to a wall, isn't it? Because you can't really see anything. You don't know if the person is actually there. You have no idea whether they're paying attention, whether they're not, if they're taking something from it. Because I think that we get so much from human contact, even if it's virtual, but just like by seeing another human being, it just makes us feel so much closer to them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's really
I
interesting.
have a question. It says on this that I'm in the show and everybody can see me, but how can I see everybody?
Oh, we can't see anyone.
No.
I'm afraid. Yeah, it's not. It's different from Zoom.
It's different to Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't. Yeah, we can just see their names and any questions that come in.
If they're commenting, if they're commenting, then we can see them. But basically, we can never see them. So, Fernanda has a question. So she's asking, how can positive discipline help in the digital era with AI, technology, screens, busy parents, anxious kids, and depressed teens? Ooh, that's a big one, Jane.
Well, you know what's so interesting is I'm going to do my "I told you so" bit here, because I have known for at least 30 years and been saying it's addictive. Is it 30 years? Maybe not 30, but saying
maybe 30. Yeah.
Do you know that I discovered a long time ago how way before the iPhone, even before iPhones, when I could just get hearts on my computer. And one night I was playing hearts and it was midnight and I was going like this and I said, why am I doing this? Why am I? And yet I kept doing it. And I just thought, and so the next day I took it off my computer and said, this stuff is stupid addictive. And it is for the kids. So I'm really loving Jonathan Haidt's book now on the anxious generation. I'm recommending, and I've never seen a book that did so much so fast. Yes. The thing is
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, they were able to. He was able to inspire mothers to get together and say no more, and so that their kids can't say everybody. And it's got schools that are having phone free. So it is a challenge, and it is addictive, and I think it's creating some really challenges for our children.
And I believe that, unfortunately, it's not just the children who are addicted to things.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I like the title of your book, Jane.
We have an ebook. It's just an ebook called "Help! My Child is Addicted to Screens. Yikes! So am I."
So am I.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. So it's quite tricky, isn't it? Because let's face it, like what's happening today is happening through a screen. Right? So it's like fire, isn't it? You can use it to cook, but you can also use it to, like to destroy.
Exactly.
So it is. It's
at the end of the day, it's a tool, and it's how you use it. So Jane, is there anything? Looking ahead, what is your vision for positive discipline in the future? Do you have any other plans? Are you going to be writing any more books?
We can talk about the House of Kind and Fun as well, right?
Yeah.
The
House of Kind.
I just love this visual that I've created. Can you show that on the screen?
Yeah. There it is.
This whole thing of, because of the debate that there's that firm and kind, that they can't go together. And so by the way, Dr. Amen has now come out with a book where he talks about kind and firm. He said there's two main things you need to do: kind and firm.
Yes, I saw a little clip actually. Yeah.
But this is a handout that we're going to have available for anybody who just wants to print it out. But at the top, I like this idea of a house. Well, actually, let's just start at the bottom where it's solid ground. And that's the positive discipline principles. And that's one of the reasons that the tools work, if they're based on these principles. And then the foundation, which are the 5 criteria. That every single tool we create has to meet these 5 criteria. And then I call the inspiration rooms, the parenting tools, the classes, the workshops that we have. And then on the back, there's just a few more details. Can you show the back of it now? Yeah. So this whole thing about punishment versus permissiveness and positive discipline and key strategies, and then some examples. And we have parent examples and we have teacher examples. And then again, if a positive discipline tool doesn't work, there's these 5 things to read. So are you going to put a link to where people can find this if they would want a copy of it?
It's just come up in the chat now. So there's a link to where you can actually download the handout, which is brilliant.
And I'm not sure how they can do the difference between the parents and the teachers, but the only thing is different is those examples of the, what do they call the curiosity questions. Is that what they are? Let's see here. Yeah, the examples of kind and firm. There's examples of, for parents and teachers. But that's just, one example from one activity. But I just wanted to bring it all together, how it's just based on this solid ground, on the solid foundation, and then there's applicable tools.
No, it's a great resource. Thank you.
Would you like to give us one example of what kind and firm looks like? Because for so many people who are still new to positive discipline, it's still a bit, like they can't really grasp this concept. So what would kind and firm look like?
Well,
and feel free to use one of the examples from the House of Kind and Firm.
One of us, it includes validating feelings. I know you don't want to stop playing, and it's time for bed. And I'll race you to the bathroom. Or advanced agreement. I know you don't want to help with dinner, and what was our agreement? A lot of it is your tone of voice, your intention, that it's not, you could say all of these things in a disrespectful way, as well as, what was our agreement? Kindly and let's see, provide a choice. You don't want to go to bed and it's bedtime. Do you want one story or two? So this whole idea is that kind and firm, but the firm so much depends on our attitude that, because I love if it didn't work, where it says, was one of the 5 criteria missing? Did I take time to calm down? So this is, again, parents are learning and teachers are learning skills. Like, we need to calm down. We need to take some time out before we react sometimes. Did I model what I want to teach? Was I more interested in winning over the child than winning the child over? Now I'm going to say that again. Was I trying to win over the child, or was I trying to win the child over? And remembering and teaching that mistakes are opportunities to learn. I think that is so huge. And when we can usually say, even positive discipline parents and teachers are never perfect, and that's such a good model for the kids to say, oh, I made a mistake, I need your help.
And they're so forgiving.
And I have 2 questions for you, Jane. One of them is, why do we say kind and firm? Why do we say, I understand it's, it's time, you need to stop playing because it's, I understand you want to continue playing and it's bedtime. Why do we have to use the and instead of the but? Why?
It goes back to the favorite thing of connection before correction, which I have to tell you, I like better than connect before correct. I like connection before correction, because connect before correct seems more, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as interactive as connection before correction. And the whole thing is there's so much in that, because it's brain science. It's children do better when they feel better, but it's also not just feel better. It's that whole thing of being able to combine, yes, I love you, and the answer is no.
Instead of I love you, but the answer is no, right?
Right. So I think that it just creates so many of those things, that why it's not about being perfect, but it's about saying, I made a mistake. I need to wait till I can calm down before I can.
Yeah, it's all about understanding how we work as well as adults, right?
Yes.
So my second question to you, Jane, is, even you, I remember reading in one of your books, and I would like you to share this with our audience. Even you, as a creator of positive discipline, how much can you actually implement positive discipline in your daily life? Can you be 100% positive discipline in 24 hours?
Sure, it's easy now. I don't have any children in my home. I can be very encouraging on the phone. It's like,
how about when you had 7 children in your house?
No.
How many percent?
You know, there's the reason why when Mary was really upset at me about something, she said, I'm going to tell Oprah on you. So, no, I do love that it's not about being perfect. It's hard to live with a perfect person, but we want to model being a model that I can lose it, that I can make mistakes, that I can apologize, that I can say, okay, I need your help. Let's put this on the agenda. And sometimes it might take 2 or 3 meetings before you come to a conclusion that everybody can agree on. But that's still my favorite, because it's during the family meetings that we have so much opportunity to teach skills and help feeling that with that sense of belonging and significance.
Yeah, absolutely, Jane. And we're kind of we're on 50 minutes, which is which is great. So is there anything you would like to share with us? I know we've covered a lot before we wrap up. Is there anything we haven't asked you or you'd like to share?
I think you've done a great job, and it's like, to me, the fact that so many people like it enough that they want to share it with others, I just keep doing that, because one of the things I found when I was teaching is after a class, I say, I hope others got as much as I got from that. and it is true that the teachers, we learn the most, and so just keep teaching it. And because of my goal, I think that if every classroom and if every home was doing class meetings and family meetings, we would have peace in the world. And I truly believe that.
Oh,
that's such a wonderful thought, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a vision that we're all working towards. And so Jane, thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom and your insights and your own parenting journey as well, which has been so interesting. If there is one golden nugget you'd like to give listeners to take away with, what would it be? Just one little nugget.
My word for
maybe
the year,
for parents that happen.
My word for the year is compassion.
Say that again.
My word for the year that I chose is compassion, starting with myself. Starting with myself, because I still make so many mistakes, and just having compassion for that. And then as soon as I do that, to me, actually, it's almost a little activity. I'm going to go from my head to my heart. Just put my hand over my heart. And I do really believe that our heart thinks differently than the brain, and that we really need both to be more effective. And so, and I have to remember to have, I'm getting annoyed with this aging process sometimes, and memory problems. And so I need compassion for myself as well as everybody else.
Yeah, I'm taking a course at the moment, Jane, with the Heart Math Institute.
Oh, I love that. Love it.
Yeah, to be a heart facilitator. And, I'm learning all about, how the heart speaks to the brain and how we can kind of connect more with our heart. And yeah, as you say, like compassion for ourselves goes such a long way. And it's difficult.
Yes.
It's difficult. Well, you have been so amazing. I know, as Lucy and I said, this is like a dream for us to have you being in conversation with you. And we love you, Jane. We love what you're offering to the world. We love the impact you're having on the world. And you'll have to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to come back in, a few months' time, and give us an update. But Lucy, would you like to say anything before we end?
I just want to say a huge thank you to you, Jane, for coming, on this live stream. I know that, just like us, there's so many others who are so excited about this. And we are so grateful for everything that you've done and for everything that you're still doing. Please never stop. You are leaving such a huge legacy, and we can be nothing but grateful to you. One thing that I would love to say is, although there's so many wonderful books, what you said, it's even though, because I feel that with myself, and when you're saying about being compassionate is, I try to study as much as possible, and I try to, learn so much from my experiences as well. And obviously, I'm always making mistakes. So learning that, like learning from you that, like we have to be, a bit more compassionate, especially towards ourselves. And even though, like we have like this huge arsenal of books that we're always trying to learn from, and yeah, we are still going to slip. Right,
Right.
we're still going to make mistakes, and what I find so powerful about positive discipline is that even when it comes to making mistakes, there's still a tool in positive discipline that helps us, repair these mistakes, and that helps us.
Exactly.
Yes. So it is just like such a well-rounded philosophy, and such a beautiful way of living, like life, and being respectful towards
The
others and
lifestyle,
towards yourself. It is. It really, really is. So yeah. So I can only appreciate you for everything that you're doing, and there's so many wonderful messages coming
I know.
in as well.
Fernanda Lee, she says that she recommends Jane's book Serenity.
Oh yeah, I've written a book called Serenity. That's it's also a audio.
I haven't heard that one, Jane.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up. Another one to add to the list. Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much. And Lucy, do you want to just say a little bit about our course coming up?
Yeah, so there's a course coming up which is completely based on positive discipline. Is a live course called Empowered Parenting, and it's going to start on the 7th of February. So just head over to a Montessori's website, and you're going to see in the parenting tab, this course is coming, and it's going to be live. So it's going to be filled with experiential activities, the ones that have been created by yours truly, Jane Nelsen. So we are so excited because it's our way of thanking you for everything that you're doing for us, and also for, like for helping us spread this word of love and respect and kindness and firmness at the same time. I think that this is so special. And Mauricio is also saying that he would love to express his gratitude to Jane Nelsen for sharing her wisdom in transformative strategies that help build more respectful and positive relationships. That is so yeah.
Amazing.
So
we can only say a huge thankful. We are so grateful to you, Jane Nelsen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. See you soon.
We hope everyone have a wonderful year. So this was just the very first live stream that we had, and what a wonderful way for us to start 2025. So we hope everyone has a beautiful year filled with joy and good health. Jane, would you like to wish our beautiful audience anything for this new year?
Absolutely. Just enjoy your life, mistakes and all.
Thank you so very much for coming, Jane. It was an absolute pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.